For thousands of years, one element gleamed brighter than any crown. It wasn't iron or gold, it was silver. Soft enough to shape, bright enough to awe, rare enough to worship. From the earliest merchants of Mesopotamia to the miners of the Andes, silver became the language of power.
Kings killed for it, explorers crossed oceans chasing it.
It funded wars, toppled kingdoms, and fueled the first global economy. And when empires finally drowned in it, that same silver turned from blessing to curse. This is the untold story of how silver built empires and then destroyed them. The birth of money. Long before paper promises and digital accounts, silver was money. It didn't need a signature, a bank, or a government decree, only trust in its shine. Its value was universal. A handful of silver could buy grain in Babylon, pay soldiers in Athens, or secure passage across the Mediterranean. The ancient Greeks measured wealth in drachmas of silver. The Persians filled their treasuries with it. When Rome rose, its power rested on a single coin, the denarius, a small disk of silver that paid legions, paved roads, and built the empire's glory. Silver financed Caesar's campaigns, bought loyalty, and symbolized civilization itself. In distant China, dynasties valued silver not for ornament but for stability. The Chinese tael, a simple bar of weighed silver, became the backbone of Asian trade. Merchants trusted it more than any government note because silver could not be forged by decree or erased by politics. Across continents, silver wasn't just a precious metal. It was civilization's bloodstream, pulsing through markets, armies, and monarchies alike. The conquistador's treasure. The 1500s ushered in an age of sails, ambition, and conquest. Spanish explorers crossed the Atlantic driven by stories of boundless wealth. They sought gold, but what they found was silver beyond imagination. High in the Andes, they discovered Cerro Rico, the rich hill of Potosi. Its slopes were so laced with ore that entire mountains seemed to shimmer. For the Spanish crown, it was heaven's gift. For the native workers forced into the mines, it was hell on earth. From 1545 onward, Potosi produced more silver than the rest of the world combined. Shipments left the New World each year, a glittering river bound for Europe. Spanish mints transformed the metal into pieces of 8, coins stamped with royal crests that became the first truly global currency. Silver financed cathedrals, palaces, and wars. It bought the loyalty of generals and the silence of rivals. For nearly a century, Spain seemed untouchable, its empire stretching across oceans, its coffers bottomless. But behind the brilliance of silver lay dependence. The Spanish economy no longer produced, it consumed. Silver made the empire rich, but it also made it lazy, feeding a habit that would soon destroy it. The price of too much wealth. The more silver Spain mined, the less it was worth. Between 1500 and 1600, prices across Europe rose fivefold. The same metal that once represented stability now unleashed chaos. This price revolution changed everything. Farmers found that their wages could no longer buy bread. Merchants hoarded goods, waiting for prices to rise even higher. Governments borrowed endlessly, believing the flow of silver would never stop. The Spanish crown mortgaged future shipments to foreign bankers. Galleons sank in storms or were seized by pirates. Debts grew faster than treasure could cross the ocean. Inflation devoured the empire from within. By the early 1600s, Spain, the richest nation on earth, declared bankruptcy 4 times. Silver had built its empire and hollowed it out from the inside. The metal that had promised eternity became the engine of decay. The world runs on silver, yet Spain's decline did not end silver's story, it globalized it. Silver from the Americas didn't just stay in Europe, it traveled across the world. Spanish galleons sailed from Acapulco to Manila, carrying tons of silver across the Pacific. In return, they brought back silk, porcelain, and tea from China. By the 1600s, Chinese demand for silver was insatiable. The Ming dynasty had moved its taxes from grain and labor to silver payments. forcing millions of peasants to depend on foreign coin. Half of all silver mined in the Americas ended up in Asia. Silver became the world's first truly global currency, a thread connecting miners in Bolivia to merchants in Beijing, bankers in Amsterdam, and smugglers in Manila. It was money without borders, trusted by everyone, controlled by no one. But when that global flow slowed, because of war, famine, or debt, entire economies collapsed. Empires had built their stability on a metal they could not control. The fall of silver's age. By the 19th century, the world had changed. Nations sought a new anchor for their economies, not silver, but gold. Gold was rarer, more stable, and easier to centralize under state control. Silver, once the metal of kings, began to lose its throne. In 1873, the United States officially demonetized silver, an event remembered by miners as the crime of 1873. Communities that had thrived on silver mining were devastated overnight. Prices plummeted, wages vanished, and protests swept across the frontier. In Asia, the shift was even more dramatic. China and India, still tied to silver, saw their currencies collapse against gold-based Western economies. A century of prosperity dissolved in a few short decades. Silver had not only lost its value, it had lost its purpose. The very metal that once united continents now divided them. The age of silver was over, replaced by a new, colder era of centralized banking and industrial gold. The modern echo today, silver still glimmers in coins, jewelry, and the circuitry of modern machines. It powers solar panels, smartphones, and satellites. It remains useful, even beautiful, but its legacy carries a warning. Every empire that believed its wealth was infinite discovered that no metal, no currency, no fortune lasts forever. Rome learned it when its coins were debased. Spain learned it when its silver lost value faster than it could be mined. And modern economies may yet learn it again, when digital money and endless credit meet the same fate as the silver coins that once ruled the world. The story of silver is not just history, it is prophecy. It reminds us that abundance breeds complacency and that the pursuit of limitless wealth always ends in decline. From Rome to Spain to the modern age, silver has shown us one truth. When greed turns abundance into excess, prosperity becomes poison. If history teaches anything, it is that wealth always comes with a cost. Every empire, every nation, every generation must decide how much of that cost it is willing to pay. Silver built civilizations that dreamed of eternity. But eternity, it turns out, is expensive, Yuan, and every ounce of it must eventually be repaid. So perhaps the question isn't how silver destroyed empires, but why we keep repeating the same mistake, believing that the shine of wealth can outlast the weight of history. What do you think? Is our age of paper and pixels any different from the age of silver? Or are we simply polishing the same coin, hoping it won't tarnish? Subscribe to uncover more hidden stories of money, power, and the empires they built and destroyed.